What's up, you guys? It's Simon. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're doing like a couple of different things sort of combined in one, but before we get into that, I did want to say like a huge thank you for all of the support that I've been getting on these past few uploads. As you guys know, 2020 has been a rough year for everyone. I will get into that in a little bit, but I was on hiatus for like 2 months, and the fact that you guys came back at like full force, if not more so, to come and watch my videos was like super important to me. It was like really nice to know that you guys didn't like forget about me. And yeah, it's just been really amazing to see all of you guys in the premieres and, you know, interacting with the channel. Your support has been like super amazing and like mind-blowing to me, so thank you guys so much. I also did want to say the Q&A, that's what this is, the Draw This in Your Style, is still ongoing. It will be ongoing until the end of January, so you have until the 31st to input your entry. And I also wanted to mention that everybody's entry is going to be featured on my Instagram stories. I'm also going to put it in a little highlight so you guys can go and look back at it whenever you want to. But yeah, regardless of platform, everybody's going to be featured, and I'll leave a link or some kind of so that people know where they can go and find your work. So say you're like very Twitter focused and you decide to enter on Twitter, then I will put obviously your entry, and then I'll say like at something on Twitter. But yeah, if that's something you guys are interested in doing, you can check out both my Instagram page and the community tab to, you know, get a little refresher of the image and see what you can do with it. So yeah, anyways, getting into the video. So this is kind of like a half review and sort of half Q&A. I just wanted to try out these little markers that I got at Five Below. I was doing some Christmas shopping a little while back, and I noticed that they had alcohol markers for $5 for like quite a few markers. This is a 12-pack and this is a 6-pack. So obviously, that's pretty cheap and can be really helpful if you are maybe trying to get into markers and you haven't really used them before. So yeah, I just thought I would try these out and see what the sort of quality is and how I like the colors, I guess. And then the other half of the video, obviously, as you can tell by the title, is going to be a Q&A. I do already have an illustration in mind, but I do want to do some warm-up sketches to kind of you know, get a feel for how these markers work, but also to, you know, warm up. It's really important to do little warm-up sketches before getting into a finished piece, because it's just hard to draw when you first start out for the day. So getting into the first question. So the first question we have is from Pastel Lavender on Instagram. Also, sorry if you guys can see this keyboard. This is like a little keyboard I have for my iPad, and I have all of your questions and my reference images off to the side. So sorry if that's annoying, but art here. Anyway, so the first question is, how do you feel about your 2020 achievements? So my initial response to this question was almost to be like, what 2020 achievements? Because it has been a rough year for literally everybody in the entire world, it seems like. 2020 brought a lot of downs, but it also brought a lot of ups. I have been, you know, like everybody else, had a really rough year, both mentally and just in general. I struggled a lot. Obviously, I went on 2 different hiatuses at the beginning and at the end of the year. I was going through a lot of art block and a lot of stress about whether or not, you know, the path that I was on was going to be sustainable. Just generally worrying about my career and everything that a person could possibly worry about. But when I sat down to kind of think about this question a little bit more, I realized, like, you know, I did have a lot of 2020 achievements, even though I didn't necessarily, you know, achieve every single goal that I had. Like, I was supposed to lose weight, and I did a little bit. Something that I always, like, talk about when I am trying to bring up, like, oh, I did good in 2020, is that I quit drinking soda, which was a big thing for me. I literally drink Dr. Pepper for breakfast. You guys have no idea how much soda I would consume. It was a ridiculous amount, like those big 16-ounce cups. I'd drink like 6 of those a day, like literally going through like maybe a quarter, not a quarter, a third. A third is more than half or less than half? It's less than half. Two-thirds of a thing of like a 2 liter of cherry Dr. Pepper. It was ridiculous. I was drinking a lot of soda, but then in April, I quit drinking soda, which was really cool. I did drink it on accident a few times because I tried ocean water from Sonic for the first time this year and I didn't know there was Sprite in it. I was suspicious when it was carbonated, but I was like, maybe it's like sparkling water. It's not, it's Sprite. So, that happened, but I did quit drinking Dr. Pepper and that made me lose, I think, like 20 or so pounds. So while, you know, everybody's like January, well, not everybody's, but a significant amount of people when coming into January are like, my New Year's resolution is to lose like such and such pounds, which like, you don't pressure yourself to lose weight literally unless you're unhealthy. Like, don't do it because you think you'd be prettier if you were skinnier. Like, that's such a thing to me because I've been overweight like literally my entire life. So body image is like something that's really like ingrained in, I guess, my mental state. And the reason that I'm trying to lose weight isn't so I can look prettier, it's because I need to be healthy. I'm 4'11" and I'm big, so really just for my health I need to lose weight. But this is getting way off topic. Oh my god. But that was one of my achievements. I did lose a little bit of weight, but my main achievement, I think, has definitely been YouTube and sort of Patreon related. I went from 1 patron to 6, which was crazy because, again, and that was before I implemented all of this super cool new changes to Patreon, which if you haven't heard or you're new to the channel, I did change a lot of things on Patreon. There's a lot more rewards and benefits to joining the Patreon, as you guys will see from the studio vlogs here. I do a lot of like clips of stuff that I'm working on for Patreon. But yeah, so Patreon went a lot better, and then also YouTube was crazy. I jumped from 300 to 1K to now, you guys obviously know, to 2K by the end of the year. And that was just something that I never thought was going to happen. Like, in 2019, I was kind of proud of my growth. I was like, oh, 300 subscribers, that's crazy. That's like 300 people watching me. But I also, you know, my main goal was to make YouTube and my artwork something that I could, you know, build a career off of. So 300 subscribers, obviously, is not monetized, and it's also not a lot of views like per video. And like, again, numbers and views aren't important, but it is important when it comes to like, you know, trying to make an income. And I don't want to sound like I'm doing YouTube only because I want to make money, because I do genuinely enjoy making these videos and talking to you guys and, you know, making artwork, but also I am an adult and I do need to be making money. So it is something that was kind of important to me, and just hitting those goals that I thought that I wasn't going to reach was kind of insane. So yeah, even though 2020 was very, very, very difficult, it also brought a lot of, I guess, sort of blessings in disguise, if that makes sense. And I just was really, really happy with I guess the little growth that, well, not little, oh my gosh, it's kind of hard to talk and draw at the same time and like formulate something that's so kind of difficult to talk about, I think. But yeah, despite everything that happened in 2020, I did have some achievements and I did really like them. That was a lot for the first question. So the next question is from Zesty Snail Art, and they said, hands, how did you get so good at hands? And I almost cried when I saw this, and that is because hands be hard, and I feel like the idea of somebody asking me like how I draw hands means like I made it as an artist. Like, somebody thinks I'm good at hands, the most difficult thing to draw in the entire world. Definitely, I watched a lot of videos. If you guys have like a Skillshare account, I would highly recommend Arlie Bean's hand tutorial. It is incredible. It is so informative. It basically just taught me how to break down hands into shapes. So I'll do like a mini sort of like hand tutorial, if that makes sense. So the main thing you want to think about is your palm is sort of like a rectangle, but not quite. So you have like the rectangle-y shape, but then you have like a sort of like triangle for like your thumb pad, and then, you know, more little rectangles for your fingies or whatever. And then just kind of try to observe your hand, observe the shapes in your hand, and see what naturally your fingers do when you're like, you know, making a certain position. So like, for example, if I was waving, all of my hands would be spread out. So I'd make like, I kind of start with like the thumb. Is this the knuckle right here? Is this a knuckle? I don't know. I think it's a knuckle. I kind of start with that, and then I'll go to the second knuckle, and the thumb is kind of hard to explain. I just kind of like follow the shape, and then I'll do like the little fat chunk right here. And then I just kind of, you know, like sketch really roughly a finger shape, if that makes sense. And then, you know, sometimes these fingers will stick together. But yeah, it's just a matter of like really practicing and breaking things down into shapes. This should be a little bit taller. This is kind of rough, obviously, but you know, basically you just want to break things down into shapes, really make kind of detailed observations. Something that she did in her video was she genuinely broke down every single like little shape in the hand, and that really helped me to kind of understand where things go and how your hand moves. A lot of things are like, oh, you have to know the like anatomy, like all the muscles and stuff, and while that is good, that's not something that really works for me. It's really hard for me to think of like muscles and bones and then translate that into an illustration for some reason. But what does work for me is just geometric shapes. And that's sort of what she does, and that is and was really helpful, and I think that really helped me combat my sort of hand issue. Like for example, if I was gonna do a peace sign, I will do like the sketch, because you know when I do digital works I do several layers, so I know vaguely what a peace sign looks like, and I'll just do like, oh, there's thumb, finger, boom. And then I will take that and I will refine it so that it sort of, you know, looks a little bit more realistic than a bunch of circly blobs. But that's what really helped me to kind of get better at hands. So the next question is from, I'm so sorry if I say your name wrong, because I feel like I say it in my head a lot every time I say your name, but I might be saying it wrong, but I think it's Blondie. So sorry. And they asked, what's your inspiration for drawing and how did you get into it? And also they asked what some of my fictional crushes were, and that's about to be a list. But as for my inspirations, I have a lot. It used to be like really digital painty, like sort of painterly style artists like Sarah Tepes, Loish, other artists like that, but recently it's been a lot more like stylized artists. So people like mostly people that do studio vlogs too, because I've been really getting into studio vlogs this past 2020. But people like Tiny Rat Magic, who, like, you guys need to follow her. She has like, I think like 300 subscribers, and she needs so much more. Her studio vlogs are so relaxing and her art style is literally so cool, so I will probably put it somewhere on screen if I remember. Y'all know me. By the time the premiere goes on, I'll probably see this part and drop it in the chat or in the pinned comment. But I really love her art style and just her energy. I like Apple Cheeks, obviously. Made by Malin is also really nice. I like, what is her name? I believe it's like Pipa. Pipa's art is really cute. But yeah, I think it's my style, not my style, but like my taste in style is really shifted to more simplified things like Catnip too, which is weird because I still am kind of on that sort of, I would say like semi-realism type of illustration. I still love painting and stuff like that. But I've also really just been wanting to get into like a kind of simplified cartoony style that I think would work a lot better on like stickers and merch and stuff. Like some of the stuff that I did for Inktober, like the taiyaki, I think was kind of inspired by that style, and I really like that, and I want to turn it into stickers still. I probably will here very soon because, like I said, in I don't know if this is going up before or after the studio vlog, but I got some new sticker paper that is vinyl and waterproof and hopefully will be a lot better than sticker papers I've used in the past, so I am going to test it out on that, but I am really excited to do that. But yeah, it's just been a huge like shift in like what types of art I like to consume and not necessarily affect how I illustrate in most aspects, which is really interesting to me. And as for fictional crushes, again, like I said, this is about to be a list, and I had to type it down because I genuinely could not think of like every single one, and this still isn't every single one, but it is a good handful. So I'm gonna kind of read off a list here. So we've got Zelda, Sasuke, and I do mean Zelda. I don't mean Link. Link is fine, but I mean Zelda. She's pretty. She's so beautiful. Sasuke, like I said. Also, previous spoilers if you haven't finished Naruto. Don't listen to me if you haven't finished Naruto. Previous incarnations of Sasuke being Madara and Indra. Love them. Pretty angry boys. So beautiful. Speaking of pretty angry boys, Kachan, Bakugo from My Hero, is adorable. This is a new one, Cassidy from Preacher. Preacher is a really good show. My husband got me into it after talking about Preacher for literal years, and I finally was like, okay, it's on Hulu. I will sit down and watch Preacher with you. And the minute Cassidy came on screen, I said, oh no. Oh god, he is so very chaotic and stupid, and I hate everything about him, but I love him so much. I despise him, but I love him, and it's the worst. He also kind of reminds me of Crowley from Good Omens, who's another one. Kind of, like, they're not like completely the same, but like sort of like they're in, like, you can't really understand what they're saying, and also sometimes they say things that are like just so stupid, but you love them for it, kind of that sort of thing. Cassidy's like Crowley sort of a little more extra, I guess, if he was a little bit more into not being on his best behavior. Getting into some of the ones that are a little bit more embarrassing. Loki. I was so late to that train. I've talked about this before. I was on Tumblr in 2012 when Loki and being in love with him was like a huge thing, where it was like super popular. Everybody loved Loki. I was too busy being in love with Dave Strider, which is another one. But I've talked about this on my channel before, but if you haven't already heard the story, essentially what happened was, it was Pride, and I was about to go on like a little movie trip with some of my friends, and this was before the pandemic. This was 2019. I want to go back to 2019 so bad. But yeah, so this was in 2019, and we were on like a sort of mini vacation, so that we could all hang out for Pride, and we were gonna go to the movies and see Endgame. And I was like, I haven't even seen Infinity War yet. And all of my friends were like, are you kidding? Are you why didn't you, what, why, how? And I was like, I was working. So I never saw Infinity War. And I never really was into Marvel beforehand. I'd seen a few sort of like Marvel movies. I saw Captain America, Civil War with my husband when it came out, but I didn't really get too into Marvel. And so right before we were gonna go see Endgame, they were like, okay, we're gonna watch Infinity War, and then we're going to, we're gonna go watch Endgame. So that's what we did. I watched Infinity War. I didn't pay attention. It was stupid. And we saw Endgame, and I was immediately hooked, like so hardcore. I was so invested, particularly in Thor, which was funny because I didn't really like Thor beforehand. I'd only seen the first movie, and I was like, okay, I guess, like, I don't really care. And then I just kept watching the movie, and I watched like him sort of like develop over like, you know, the course. I'm not going to give any spoilers because, you know, obviously um Endgame is kind of like a huge thing, so if you haven't seen it and you don't really like Marvel, would highly recommend because I really enjoyed it. But anyway, so I watched it. I got really into Thor, so I decided to watch the Thor movies, and then I was like, uh-oh. I understand now. I see why people love Loki so much. He's such a sweet being. He's so important. He did nothing to deserve anything that ever happened to him. I love him so much, and I'm so excited for Loki 2021. If you guys have seen the trailer, oh my god. I can't believe Loki's DB Cooper. That's insane. I literally love that. Like, if you're like a fan of like true crime, I don't know if that counts as true crime, but like a mystery, and you've heard about DB Cooper before, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I love it. I'm super excited. Love Loki. Who else? Zuko. I already said Dave. Komaeda from Danganronpa was quite the phase. It was a thing. It was embarrassing. It was bad. Like, the first time I ever watched DR2, well, I did watch it. I watched a gameplay, instead of, like, playing for myself because I didn't have the console that it was on. So I just watched, like, a silent gameplay of, like, all of the, you know, events and cutscenes and things that happened in the game. And I was like, oh no, I love him. And I was on the treadmill when I first started watching it, and I did not get off for hours because I was so distracted and invested in what was going on in the game. So that was really funny. Who else is on here that's embarrassing? Eddie Kazbrak, pretty boy. When I was in high school, this will not come as a shock to anybody that knows why my name is Simon on this channel. Ralph, Lord of the Flies. I don't know what to say about that. And then the last one is arguably the worst one, the most embarrassing one, the most horrific one. Is Russia from Italia. I'm sorry. All of middle school, I was like in love with him. In fact, I'm gonna show you guys something. I have to get up to get it. Where's the other one? Wait, this is wrong. I'm sensing a disturbance. Anyways, I have this. I have two of this. I can't find the second one. It's like gone, and that's kind of disturbing me because there most absolutely should be two, and I don't know where it is. It's haunted. Anyways, so yeah, I have that. Really embarrassing. Also, technically, France for a little bit because when I met my husband, he was indeed cosplaying France. So, what was I to do? And then the last two, actually, I will probably mention, is Snufkin. Snufkin is a recent one because I had never heard about the Moomins, but I started seeing a lot of it this year. A lot of it on like Facebook, on Instagram, just a lot of people talking about Moomins. I think it's because Moomin Valley came out, like the reboot animated series. And I'd never seen the original. I'd never heard of it. I'd never grown up with it or anything like that. I didn't know anything about Moomins. And I started seeing these videos in my recommended that were essentially just meme videos compiled of like Snufkin being Snufkin. And I was like, oh no. Why is he adorable? He's literally such a goofball. I love him so much. Like, he's literally such a freaking dork. So I do love Snufkin. I do think he's adorable. And then I think the very, very last one, are you guys surprised? Bill Cipher. That was also not technically was it recent? I think it was kind of recent. When I was in high school, I didn't really like Bill. That was when I first saw Gravity Falls. I think I was like maybe 14 or something. I didn't really like Bill, and then I got older and was like, oh, uh-oh. So yeah, I think I have kind of like a type when it comes to characters that I like are usually like antagonists, but also not really an antagonist. Like, come on. And then some of them are just straight up like adorable. So yeah, that was quite the list. I knew that was gonna take up quite a bit of time because I have so very many, and again, this is not all of them. These are just the ones that I could think of as I was writing this list. But anyway, the next one, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna say your name wrong too, but I do see you a lot and I do appreciate your commenting, and that is Kwanime? Wait, I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. But they said, do you have any art tips about being a great artist? And that is to study. Like, definitely, practice as much as you can. I'm not gonna say practice every day because it's not really viable for everybody to practice like every single day. It's definitely something that is kind of difficult, especially if you're in like school. But I will say practice whenever you can. If you have free time and you feel like drawing, definitely take that opportunity to do so. I know artists tend to get like that itch where you're like, I need to draw. I have to draw right now. And then you don't. And I will strongly say that if you have that urge and you have the time and you really want to draw, you just don't know what to draw, do it anyway. Get on Pinterest, find some models, find some references, do studies. You don't have to do boring studies like fruit baskets. You can do studies like fruit baskets if you want to draw fruit baskets, but if you don't have to. Just draw things that you genuinely enjoy, or that you want to get better at drawing. And eventually you will. It'll be a lot nicer once you realize like how far you've grown. But the only tip that I can give is to just study artists that you like, study their work, study how they stylize things, find color palettes that you enjoy, do like random sort of things like the illustration that I got, the idea that I have for, I guess technically this video, it's probably not gonna end up getting finished in this video, but the idea came from a random generator sort of thing. I just like literally googled random things generator, and then I think it was like a bear and lip gloss and bread, and I was like, how can I combine that? And so I did, and I really thought it was adorable. And I never would have come up with something like that on my own without, you know, trying to get inspired and find inspiration in random things. So I would highly recommend just doing sort of warm-ups like that could eventually turn into complete and, you know, sort of finished illustrations. But yeah, just practice. Next question is from Satchel25, and it's kind of the same thing. How did you learn to do art so well? Just practicing, a lot of practicing. I've been drawing since I was like a child, but like not really genuinely seriously until I was like 10. And when I did start to take it seriously was when I started like actually studying. I watched like a ton of Mark Crilly videos because I really wanted to be like a manga artist when I was a kid. So yeah, just find artists that you like, practice, study, and eventually you will get better and you will really see a change in your work. So the next question is from HXC Humanoid, who's actually one of my friends. If you're watching this, hi. But yeah, my favorite animated show / movie. That is very hard for me to choose because half of what I consume is animated. I would say right now one of my favorite animated shows is Moomins, but it's also Gravity Falls. It's also, what else am I watching that's animated right now? I think that's it. I think those are the two main ones that have come up this year, but obviously any animated that I've mentioned, Naruto, come on, anything sort of like that. I haven't really gotten into anything new that I've never consumed before other than Moomin Valley this year. So anything that was previously a favorite of mine is still a favorite, but Moomins is definitely a new favorite of mine that I really, really like. The next question is, do you prefer digital or traditional? And it's very hard to answer. Oh, that was from Rainy Day Doodles on Instagram, who I would also highly recommend checking out. Yeah, digital or traditional is really hard for me to decide because I go through like sort of phases of like, oh, I only want to draw digitally, or oh, I only want to draw traditionally. Like I'll get sort of like that is to draw, like I mentioned before, but like in very specifics. Like I'll be very specifically like, oh, I really want to use my Copics. Oh, I really want to use watercolor. Oh, I really want to do like a digital painting of some sort. So yeah, it's really hard to say which one I prefer. I will say that traditional has sort of its appeal. Like I guess they both do. Like they both have different reasons why I enjoy doing them. Traditional I really like to do because I've been doing it since I was, you know, a little kid. I did pick up digital illustrations very young, but I obviously, like everybody, started out as a traditional artist, so there is like sort of a familiarity there. But also I find it way easier to like sketch my ideas out, I guess, like get really rough concepts out traditionally rather than digitally. I really prefer to do thumbnails in my sketchbook rather than on like my iPad or something, because for some reason my brain just stops working when I see like a blank canvas on Procreate or something like that. So doing like sketches like here, you guys are probably gonna see them soon, but a little sketchbook tour, I guess, mini one, just this page really, are sort of like how I plan like videos and how I plan illustrations. This one's actually what we're gonna be doing for the video eventually if I get to it. But yeah, so I like to do thumbnailing sort of traditionally, and I actually am gonna move on to the illustration, or I'm never going to get there. I'm going to start out, where's my tape? I had tape. I'm gonna start out by blocking this sort of edges out because I kind of want it to be a square and or rectangle kind of thing, and I just want it to have really solid edges. But yeah, so I like to do that sort of thing traditionally rather than digitally, but also at the same time it's easier to refine things. I think digitally it's easier for me to get the cleaner sketches out. So for example, a lot of the time if somebody orders like a traditional commission, like a Copic illustration, I will do the sketch traditionally and then digitally, and then I'll bring it back with my Lightbox, and I'll like trace over the lines that I created digitally so that I don't have to ruin a piece of paper with a bunch of erasing and sketching, just because it is really easy for me to clean things up, obviously, because digital has things like the transform tool and stuff that you don't necessarily have traditionally, that you'd really have to like erase and hope that you don't have to do a million times over before you get the very subtle shape that you're looking for. So that is a reason that I do prefer digital on occasion, but I think I like them sort of equally, and it just depends on the type of mood that I'm in. So the next question is, what brushes do you like to use on a daily basis? Also, what are your favorite hobbies outside of art? And that's from Lolo Baker on YouTube. So what brushes I use on a daily basis? I would say there's a handful of brushes that I use daily. One of them is from Gumroad. Sorry, I'm like out of breath. I don't know why I was holding my breath for those few questions. But one of them was on Gumroad. It is from the Jing Sketch sketch pack. I don't know exactly what it's called. I think it's like his Procreate brushes or something on Gumroad. And it was only 14 bucks for like a lot of brushes. You got a whole lot. And my favoriteest brush in the entire world to use for shading and for adding not base colors, because it does trip up on the occasion, but for adding, you know, like the blocks of color, like for shading and stuff like that, is definitely the, what is it called? I think I used to call it thick render solid, but it's actually thin render solid. I don't know how I've been wrong this entire time, but I have. I really like that brush because it has like a taper sort of, so when you make a stroke, it's pressure sensitive and it will sort of lighten up towards the end, so it will be thinner, but it will also have a slightly less opacity, which makes it really, really nice for when I come in and do the blending. Another brush that I tend to use on the daily is the Studio Pen, I believe, in the inking section on Procreate. That just comes straight with the base Procreate 5, and I adore it because it has a stabilizer on it, but it's like very subtle, so it's really nice for when I'm filling in the base colors because the other brush does not like to do so very much. It just makes things really like smooth and fine and nice, and it's like kind of good for handwriting as well because again, there's a stabilizer, but you have to be careful not to write too fast, because if you do, your letters, like if I wrote, like this is how I write an H, if I wrote it with the stabilizer on, it'd look like that. Or no, that's not it. It'd look kind of like that, like an N basically. It wouldn't really catch the whole stroke. It would be really difficult for it to figure out what the heck you're trying to do. But yeah, Studio Pen is very nice for that. I also like, what's another brush that I use? The airbrushes, like all of them in general are really nice. I use the airbrushes exclusively with the smudge tool. So what I do basically to do my shading, I'm not going to talk too heavily about this because you guys probably did or will see a shading tutorial this month. But I basically just will do like the Jing Sketch brush. I will make like the sort of like blended out edges with that, but then I'll like actually like render with the airbrush tool, and then I'll kind of go back and do back and forth with that. But yeah, other than that, that is mostly what I use. The next question is from Mystical Arts with Misty, and half of the question I erased on accident, but it says, what are the artworks you're looking forward to make in 2021? And then they also asked if I prefer digital or traditional, so there was that answer. But artworks I'm excited for in 2021, so I actually have a plan for like this sort of it's kind of like a dongo design type thing. I am maybe gonna make enamel pins out of it. I know for sure I'm gonna make stickers because those would be super easy and cheap to produce, but I don't really know about enamel pin manufacturing, so I'd have to very much look into how enamel pins are made and how I can make one for myself and how much that would cost me and blah blah blah. But that is something that I'm really looking forward to because I think it's a really cute design. Something else that I'm looking forward to, I'm saving for spring or summer because it's kind of, I feel like, not necessarily a themed illustration, but it does give off the vibe of spring or summer. And that is like, I'm not going to give too much detail, but it involves fish and bubblegum because I'm really excited about it, but I don't want to give away too much because I came up with the idea for it back in like maybe September or something. It was like either late fall or early winter, and I was like, this ain't coming out right now, but I will be doing it because I do like this idea like so much. I genuinely like sketched it out and was like, oh my god, this is gonna be so adorable. So I'm really excited about it. But yeah, those are really the only planned illustrations I had. This was one of the ones that I was excited for because I was excited about the color palette and to try out these markers, and I just thought that the little bun that you guys are going to see and that you kind of saw a sneak peek of earlier is really cute. But yeah, other than that, I don't think I have any other illustrations that are currently planned for 2021, but I am hopefully going to be making a lot more finished pieces this year. I did say that was a resolution of mine. I didn't have a lot of illustrations in 2020 that I could say were like done. I had a lot of like sort of doodles, or like the ones that were for YouTube videos kind of were done, I would say, but they also weren't technically, like, I don't want to say they weren't what I wanted to make because obviously I drew them, so at some point in time I did want to make them, but they weren't necessarily like things that I thought really enhanced, I guess, my artwork, enhanced my skill, and taught me how to create more. They were just things that I was like, I need to draw so I have something in the video. And while they were cute, and a lot of them are illustrations that I am still technically proud of, I feel like I could have done a lot more in 2020 as far as finishing pieces go. So I'm hopeful that 2021 will bring a lot more finished artwork my way. So the last question that I have, it is from Quilos on YouTube, and they asked, do you have any plans for 2021 and what do you want to improve on in your art? So I do have plans for 2021. I obviously have a lot of the things that I was planning on Patreon to do. I have plans to kind of do more shop updates than I have because my Etsy is really dead most of the time. I'll have like the occasional like, oh, summer, spring update, autumn update. That's it, nothing more. So I kind of want to do like more than 2 shop updates a year. I think would be really cool. I also hopefully want to travel with the pandemic. I am probably not going to go anywhere until things get a little bit better, but I am hopeful that things will you know, change around the US, especially with our change in leadership, if you catch my drift. But yeah, I'm hopeful that things will get a little bit better, that hopefully the pandemic will be handled a lot more seriously, and that things will get a little bit better over here. If I do travel, when things get better, I would very much like to go somewhere with a Daiso. I just keep saying that because one of my plans in 2020, before, you know, the pandemic happened, was that we were going to go on this super cool vacation. There was like a train that drives from like Seattle, Washington to like Southern California, or was it Southern California? I don't know the exact location, but it was essentially, it drives along the East Coast. And I've never been on a train before, so that was a really good idea, that was a really fun idea. But I've also never been to the East Coast in general. I've never been to the East Coast. I've only been pretty much all of the Midwest and like a little bit up north, but I've never been on the East Coast. I've never been on the, did I say the East Coast? It's the West Coast, huh? I'm stupid. I've never been on the West Coast either. I've never been on either of the coasts, so it was just something that was really cool and exciting to me, but also both California and Seattle have a Daiso, and I have always wanted to do a Daiso haul. Like every freaking art vlogger I've ever seen has done a Daiso haul because they all somehow live in the same state as a Daiso, and I unfortunately do not. So I don't even have a 7-Eleven. It's so frustrating. But I really want to do a Daiso haul. I'm like super hype about that. So if I do travel, I definitely will be going somewhere with a Daiso. As for other plans, essentially, I just want to grow the channel. I just want to make more art. Improving art, I would say I really need to get better at proportions and anatomy and doing more full bodies again, like I said last year, because I see all these posts on Instagram of like these people with like these cool dynamic poses, and I'm like, I drew another bust. So I want to draw more than just busts. I also want to learn how to you know, format illustrations for Instagram, because a lot of mine get very blurred out and nasty as far as quality goes, which is something that I definitely would like to improve. But yeah, so just making more dynamic illustrations, making more finished illustrations that I can look at the end of the day and be like, wow, I'm really proud of this. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I did not get to this illustration at all, so I will pop a finished version up on screen somewhere, but I also didn't talk about the markers at all. So what I am going to do is I'm going to pause working on this sketch, and I'm just going to swatch these, and then I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about it. I'm maybe going to do like a little speed paint for the end of this video so that you guys can see how it turned out. That being said, let's get into why I just ripped the box swatching these markers. I'm sorry if this video is terribly long. My Q&As also always seem to Why am I broken? Did you guys hear that? My Q&As always seem to end up very much long. So yeah, let's get into swatching these. So I have no idea which end is the chisel nib and which end is the, or not chisel, which end is the brush and which end is the chisel, because there's absolutely no writing on the packaging. There's not even a brand. It just says 6 dual tip alcohol ink pens. Oh, yes there is. Creative Gallery. So, yeah, there's no branding whatsoever on the markers. I've also never seen this barrel before, which is interesting. Usually when you see sort of like Copic alternative markers, they tend to have the same packaging, if you know what I mean. So kind of interesting to see a different form of packaging, but also at the same time, you couldn't have put Creative Gallery and like chisel brush? I don't know. And this was the chisel. So yeah, here's the chisel. I do like that color. It's a really nice like goldeny sort of color. The brush end is pretty firm. It is, I would say it's not very flexible. Like, let's see a Copic for comparison. This would probably be a good comparison color. So a Copic in comparison has a little bit of like kind of a firm nib, but it's also a little bit softer. It's a little more flexible. I wouldn't say this is annoying to work with by any means. I do think that it's definitely workable. I do appreciate that it is a brush. So yeah, I'm just going to swatch the rest of these colors and then get into a speed paint for you guys. I just have to pause and say something really quick. This massive chisel tip. Y'all see this pink? This dusty rose? What is this? That's not pink? What color is that? This is more accurate than this is? I don't understand. This is like, that's like a sand. That ain't no pink. Okay, coming back to the swatches. All of the colors that I thought were gonna be really nice, like gorgeous purples, were gray. So many grays. There's not a pink. There's this color, this neon sort of peach, I think. Was it this one? Yeah. It's like kind of like I would compare it to like E02 maybe, or E00 from Copic, just a very bright peach. This was a really pleasant color. I think it was this one. I really like that color. It's a nice blue. But like this is purple, right? This is purple. Gray. The one that really shocked me, you guys might have seen, is this not like a mauve? Is this not like a lavender? What is this? That's a light gray. That's a cool gray. That is not even close. Did you try with matching? Like, I get it. Were these $5? Yes. These were $5 for 12 markers. I totally get it. But you can still try. You can still, if you're gonna print a color on it, why not print gray? Why print purple and give me a gray marker? I don't understand. That is so frustrating. I do not hate these colors, but if they had just, you know, been purple instead, I would have a lot less qualms with them. But right now, kind of irritated about that. But let's move on into the speed paint. Okay, so here is the finally finished illustration. I'm sorry this video was so very long. But yeah, I did enjoy answering your guys' questions, and these markers were okay to work with. They could have been so much worse. One thing I do want to say is that these markers in particular, the chisel nib is so fat, but it's also such a weird shape. It's like rounded. It's not like straight flat, so it was kind of hard to get an even wash of colors down. And also the fact that none of the nibs, none of them match the actual color on the cap, so it was kind of difficult to figure out which marker was which and which one I was intending to use in that moment. But I do think it all came together pretty cute. I do like it. I think I might make this one of the darker grays, like probably this desaturated gray here, just so that it stands out a little bit more against the bun. Oh yeah, I forgot, I wanted to add a little shine on the top so you could tell that it's supposed to be freshly baked bread. But yeah, I did like this illustration. The markers were okay. I did like answering your guys' questions. If you have any more questions that you guys want me to answer, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I will try to get back to you guys. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, maybe go and take a look at my Patreon. Like I said before, there's a lot of cool stuff that we've just added and a lot more things to come very soon. I am still taking votes, if you are a patron, on February's theme for the Patreon perks. So if you would like to become a patron and you'd like to be a part of creating February's products, definitely go and check that out. I of course want to give a big shout out to my current patrons, Elise Thompson, Duran, Mandy, Schleeps, Puppy Paws, and Created by Twins. You guys are the best. I love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.